Hey everyone, hope you're having an amazing day. It's Code Karen. Welcome to r/Am I the A-Hole, where we have 3 incredible stories. If you are new to this channel, a sub would be great. Let's jump to the stories. Our first story is, am I the a-hole for telling my son's wife that she wasn't a beautiful bride? I'm very angry over this, so maybe it is more of a misstep than I originally thought. My son got married 8 months ago to a woman we've never liked. They had a surprise wedding, meaning none of us knew we were going to a wedding and we were told it was just a cocktail party. My wife wore white. Now that I think of it, my wife wears a lot of white, and that makes daughter-in-law even more of a jerk for never warning us. Well, for 8 months, she has been trying to spin it to make my wife look like some crazed mother-in-law who showed up in a wedding dress. She had a wedding picture on social media, and when someone commented who wore white, she wrote back, "That's my mother-in-law. She doesn't like me," and a laughing emoji. My wife called her out on it, and she played the victim and whined about my wife trying to upstage her. She has made a couple snide comments and told people who weren't at the wedding that it was intentional. My son knew how much this was getting me angry and pulled me aside. He said that she is insecure because when she showed the wedding pictures to her best friend, who wouldn't make it, the friend immediately commented that my wife is gorgeous. I guess her mom said something too. My wife used to model, and not to be a jerk, but she draws your eye much more than my daughter-in-law. He said that she is insecure, and he has always felt insecure about my wife. Also, we are Hispanic and she is white, and I guess her own mom was telling her she should tan and she was going to look pasty compared to everyone. I don't really care. I have a 15-year-old daughter, so I certainly get that women struggle with body issues, but you can't take that out on someone else and spread lies. She made another comment recently about the picture being proof that she is the innocent one in the relationship, and I snapped at her that I am sick of hearing about the white dress, and that maybe if she put more effort into her own appearance, she would have been a beautiful bride, and people wouldn't be looking at her mother-in-law. She stormed off and my son is mad. He actually said his mom has great self-esteem. She doesn't, so we should take the high road. Who is the a-hole in this story? Or is there more than one a-hole? Let me know in the comments. Our second story is, am I the a-hole for ruining a couple's honeymoon and embarrassing them? Every year, my mom, sister, and I, 18 female, go on a girls' trip to the beach since we own a beach house in Seattle. In the community, each plot is allotted a certain portion of the beach, specifically the length directly in front of each house. All the homeowners are generally very friendly, and rules are set in place by the association to avoid trespassing, so nobody has to worry about anyone coming into their beachfront getting trashed. There are hilltop houses too, but they only have access to the public beach. Last summer, we arrived, and my mom and sister crashed because of the long flight, 12 hours. I was in charge of setting up the beachfront. We store our beach furniture when the house is not in use, so I had to pull them out of the storage alone in the middle of the night, drag them to the beach, and arrange them in the dark. It took about an hour to do. The next morning, we decided to stay in the whole morning and head to the beach in the afternoon. When we finally decided to make our way down, I was surprised to see beer bottles, trash, towels, and bags that weren't ours scattered across the beach. The tables and chairs had been rearranged, and the beach beds were moved closer to the water. At this point, everyone was confused and annoyed, most especially me. We could hear voices coming from the beach beds, so my mom and sister walked back to call the police to handle the trespassers. Me, on the other hand, well, I'm like my dad, and since I didn't like the fact that they had trashed the place, I wanted to give them a piece of my mind. On the beds was a couple, live streaming, bragging about spending their honeymoon at their private beach house. I said something along the lines of, "Excuse me? Why are you here? You're trespassing on private property and the police are on the way to escort you out." Of course, instead of apologizing, they told their fans that they had no idea who this kid is, and that I must be mistaken and should leave because I was the one trespassing. I repeated even louder this time, "You are trespassing. You have trashed our private beachfront. Please collect your things while we wait for the police." At this point, they're frantically screaming at me after ending their live stream, saying that I've ruined their honeymoon and that I was a stuck-up biatch. When the police arrived, they had run away, but the community is pretty small, so we found them pretty quickly. The girl's family owned a hilltop house and wanted to have a beach all to themselves, so they walked the beach. The public and private beach are connected, but there is a piece of rope separating it. People usually don't climb over it, and settled on ours. They were eventually fined, but my mom tells me that I shouldn't have made a fuss and left it to the authorities. So am I the a-hole for busting up this party? Our last story is, am I the a-hole for giving my ex-wife a large amount of money I won, despite the anger of my girlfriend? I recently won a FU amount of money. I won't say exactly how much, but it's in the millions. It makes me feel funny even typing. It's enough to change the life of myself and my family. My ex-wife is the mother of my 2 kids. She is an amazing woman and good to the bone. We divorced 6 years ago because I had an affair with my current partner. I was in a low place in my life and I effed up. She was in incredible pain, but like an effing saint, she allowed me to still see our kids, who mean the world to me. Allowed our divorce to be as pain-free as possible despite the fact that I know she was hurting. She still is close with my parents. She is respectful to me, although she refuses to talk to my girlfriend. She was actually the first person I phoned, after my mom and pops, after I found out I won the lottery. She was pleased for me, joked that I could take the kids on a world-round trip, and that was that. Nothing else. As soon as I won, I knew I wanted to give her a significant amount. I still love her. She's the mother of my babies, and I feel like this is some small, tiny way I can show her that I'm not a complete F-up. She deserves to know that I care, despite my mistakes. She also works a crappy job in the public library, which pays her peanuts. She would actually be able to pursue her hobbies this way, give our kids a better life between us. I haven't discussed this with my ex yet, but I have with my parents, who strongly agree, and my lawyer, who was very surprised, but on board. Long story short, when I told my girlfriend, she was livid, screaming that I'm disrespecting her, accusing me of still being in love with my ex-wife. I'm not in love with her. We've both grown apart, but of course I still love her for being an excellent co-parenting partner and mother to my kids. My girlfriend is threatening to break up with me, and to be honest, I'm feeling incredibly relieved over the threats. I don't plan on changing my plans, but am I the a-hole for sharing my lottery winnings with my ex-wife? What would you do in this situation? Comment below.